President of Baseball Operations, Mike Rizzo, he saw the flaw in the national system. And what did he do in the 2023 MLB Draft? Well, he addressed it.
You are Locked On Nationals, your daily Washington Nationals podcast, part of the Locked On Podcast Network, your team every day.
Swing for the fences on Sleeper Picks, and you can win up to 100 times your money. Download the Sleeper app and use promo code LOCKEDON, and you'll get up to $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 30 states. Check out Sleeper today, and thank you guys for making Locked On Nationals your first listen every day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcast. I'm your host, Ryan Clary. You can catch me over on Twitter at RyanClary11 and follow me over there as, again, Dylan Crews, the #1 prospect in the 2023 MLB Draft, is a Washington National. We're going to continue to discuss having Dylan Crews in this system, but not only is Dylan Crews in this system, the Nationals made a second-round pick in yesterday's draft, and they got a top 20 talent according to multiple different sites that fell to them in the second round, and that is YoYo Morales. We're going to get into him, but later on in today's show, we're going to talk a lot about the farm system today. And Brady House and James Wood, they took center stage up in Seattle over on Saturday, and they took all the shine there was. We're going to discuss their performances at that Futures game, and really the minor league all-star game is really what it is. We're going to discuss their performance because both of them put on a big show, and it just goes to show you how well this rebuild is going currently. But also, it is a Monday heading into the All-Star break. We're still going to do a national stock report and check up on the big league level, as the Nationals have really entered this All-Star break pretty hot. We're going to discuss that and much, much more. But first, let's talk about this. Mike Rizzo, over the course of, you could say, even the last 10 years, let's be honest, Mike Rizzo has not drafted any really positional players that have had any value to the major league team just yet. And while he hasn't really taken a whole lot of them, it's really a small list. There's Carter Kieboom, Brady House, Elijah Green, now Dylan Crews. Not a lot of those guys have really inked themselves into this lineup. You can go back to Anthony Rendon, and that was really the last position player that Mike Rizzo hit on. Now, we could talk about Brady House and what he's going to do for this team. While I think he is a very, very good prospect, we'll discuss him later on in the show. But Mike Rizzo has not done this well. And JJ Cooper from Baseball America last week kind of dropped this article, and it wasn't really specifically about the Nationals, but it was really going into positional value of players who have been drafted over the last decade or so. And this is what JJ Cooper of Baseball America had. The Nationals draftees from 2012 through present have produced 37 total home runs. Every other team has more than 100 home runs, and there are numerous players in the study who have exceeded the Nationals' grand total during just one season. You can say what you want. That is the knock on Mike Rizzo. He has not been able to find a positional value there in the first round since drafting Anthony Rendon, which was kind of a no-brainer pick. Anthony Rendon was a great college bat out of the University of Rice down in Houston, Texas. He was a slam dunk there at that spot when the Nationals got him. But now let's fast forward to this, because last night, Mike Rizzo not only took Dylan Crews, probably the surest bat to enter the draft in quite some time, you took Yohanis YoYo Morales, third baseman from the University of Miami. Mike Rizzo has seen what everyone has said about him, including myself. Mike Rizzo can't hit the big bat. He can't find a bat that's going to translate into the big leagues. He can't find arms, really, because the first round over the last decade as a grand total hasn't been great. It really hasn't been. But now you get a surefire thing with Dylan Crews, the second overall pick. And then you have, according to MLB.com, you get the number 20 overall prospect in this year's draft class at number 40 overall to begin the second round. That is a gigantic steal because Yohannes Morales, YoYo Morales, I believe, is what he'll probably go by. We talk about Dylan Crews. Dylan Crews batted .426 up at LSU. Well, you may ask yourself, how did YoYo Morales do in the ACC, the second best baseball conference there is right outside the SEC? YoYo Morales batted .408 with 20 home runs, a .713 slug. That was good for an 1187 OPS. Now, you may ask, well, why did this guy fall to the second round? A lot of people were concerned with his swing and miss potential. And plus, his strikeout rate was a little high for a college bat, striking 55 times this season, only walking 30 times in this season. But YoYo Morales is one of the better generic power bats in this year's draft class, especially coming out of the college ranks. This guy is a 60 grade power. And right now, as we sit here today, the Nationals just got themselves a steal in that second round. Someone who a lot of teams, a lot of scouts thought would be going in that probably the upper half of that first round. Someone who could sneak up into the top 15. Now, what made him drop? What was this really kind of a crazy drop? Because this guy's numbers at the University of Miami were incredible. And also, not to mention, same with Dylan Crews. This guy would have been a high draft pick back in 2020 coming out of a prep school. So now the Nationals have landed themselves not only Dylan Crews, who's going to hit for power, who's going to hit for average, who's going to do everything that you want a hitter to do. You also have another big-time sort of prospect with YoYo Morales now. Someone that the Nationals absolutely did not expect to go up in the 40th overall pick. They expected him to be well gone by then. Because last night, the Nationals assistant GM and in the press conference after the pick, they said they had YoYo Morales up above that top 20, where a lot of different sites had him up at number 20 overall. But Morales in what he does best. This guy, is he a third baseman to stay there? Is he going to stick at third base? Because the Nationals do have Brady House. And as we talked about in yesterday's show, with James Wood and Dylan Crews both being center fielders, this is a great problem to have. Now, a lot of people, from the same sense of this, baseball is just different. You can easily find ways to get guys who are very good hitters and who may be about the same at third base or a different position, and you can really plug them anywhere else. Because I look at YoYo Morales. I don't think he's the the third baseman that Brady House is. Brady House is my third baseman going forward. He's going to be that kind of future cornerstone there at that corner infield position. But YoYo Morales, I think the fit for him, up in the major league level at least, is going to be over at first base. I think YoYo Morales could actually be a very good defensive first baseman, in fact, because while his fielding is not incredible, no one really raved about it. Definitely wasn't an issue for him. He's about your typical average third baseman defensively. Offensively talking, this guy's a first-round talent. The guy right now, if he were to go in to this farm system and start tomorrow, he would probably be around the Nationals' 7th to 8th best prospect, if not even higher. This guy's a legit bat. And Mike Rizzo saw what today's game is. We know what it is. It's about power. You need that power guy in your system to come up and really just hit bombs. Kind of like a Pete Alonso did. Drafted in the second round out of the University of Florida. Fell to the New York Mets there. You've seen guys, college bats in particular, who fall to the second round, who may not be the complete player. But don't get it twisted. These guys are big hitters. And doing so at the University of Miami, a very prestigious program, one of the better programs in the country that have put out a ton of pro talent over the years. This guy did it against some of the top-notch talent in college baseball. Now, while it's not the SEC, it's not even close to that, to be honest. But what he did was insanely impressive still. If you're batting over 400, I believe this year, college alone, there was only about 25 players who batted over 400 in Division I ranks. Now, some people say, man, well, that's a good amount. Not really. Think about how many college teams are out there. Over 150 in the D1 ranks? Probably something like that. YoYo Morales and what he just did this past season was certainly deserving of a first-round pick. Because let's be honest, he was drafted in the first pick of the second round, the 40th overall pick. right after the Comp A round. The Nationals got themselves a steal with YoYo Morales. And Mike Rizzo, as we've all said over the last 10 years and what he hasn't done well, is draft talent and really draft college hitting talent and then develop them and make them a new home and whatever it may be. Because I think YoYo Morales will probably start out in the minors over at third base. And I think as he inches closer to getting up to the major leagues, which probably shouldn't really be that long, it could only take him 2 years, 2.5 years, 3 years maybe at most. This guy's a legit talent, and the power and everything that goes into drafting someone like this, especially considering that his dad was a former big leaguer himself. He knows what it takes. He knows the work ethic that you have to go forward with this operation. Because while there are some swing and miss tools that weren't really there in college baseball, he swung and missed a lot. This guy is still a legit talent. He's going to hit for power. And in fact, when I saw him, I watched about a 15-minute video breaking down his swing and all the different stuff that could come from it. I saw a lot of Michael Morse, a big, tall, right-handed hitter, someone who's going to strike out a decent amount, but also someone who knows the plate. He's going to hit the ball all over the yard, and I think that is a special part of his game. Take out the shift. Obviously, the shift is now gone, but this is one of those guys who wouldn't be shifted on because he has the talent to take the ball to right field, to left field, center, find the gaps. That's what he did best. He sprays the ball all over the yard, so now we just got to see if it's going to translate up in the big leagues. Because we already know Dylan Crews. I'll put my reputation on it. His bat's going to translate to the big leagues, 100%. I will put my reputation on that this second. Dylan Crews will translate to the big leagues. But now, the Nationals have a very good opportunity to not only turn one bat into the big leagues, but now two, with YoYo Morales being the Nationals' second-round pick, the first pick in that second round. YoYo Morales, welcome to the Washington Nationals. We can't wait to have you there. Let's get into a national stock report, as the Nationals were relatively pretty hot over this last weekend. We're going to talk about that, but before we do that, this show is sponsored by BetterHelp. And sometimes in life, we're faced with tough choices and the path forward isn't always clear. Whether you're dealing with decisions around career, relationships, or anything else, therapy helps you stay connected to what you really want while you navigate life so you can move forward with confidence and excitement. Trusting yourself to make decisions that align with your values is like anything. The more you practice it, the easier it gets. If you're thinking of starting therapy, give BetterHelp a try. It's entirely online, designed to be convenient, flexible, and suited to your schedule. Just fill out a brief questionnaire to get matched with a licensed therapist and switch therapists anytime for no additional charge. Let therapy be your map with BetterHelp. Visit BetterHelp.com/LockedOnMLB today to get 10% off your first month. That's BetterHelp, HELP.com/LockedOnMLB. And now let's get into a national stock report, as the Nationals won 4 of their last 5 series, and the bats are looking pretty good right now. Let's start out with a stock up for Mr. CJ Abrams. CJ Abrams just got promoted to hit leadoff for the Washington Nationals, and you may ask yourself, how has it been? It has been amazing. CJ Abrams has been very good at the top of this lineup, and honestly, I think this is going to be positioned for the rest of the year, and it should be. This is where CJ Abrams is going to thrive, especially with the new wave of Nationals players coming. If you have CJ Abrams, who is out there getting on base, when you have guys like James Wood and Dylan Crews and all these different power hitters who are going to be coming up through the organization, that is a massive jump. That is a massive juice for this team that we absolutely needed. Because so far in his last 26 at-bats, he's batting .346. He's getting on base at a .415 clip, and his OPS is up to an .837 in those last 26 at-bats. But what has been most impressive is that he's got 7 stolen bases in his last 15 games. They're finally letting him run loose and wreak havoc on the base path. We've seen what Elly De La Cruz, as he literally just stole 3 bags in the span of 30 seconds against the Milwaukee Brewers and then stole home. Elly De La Cruz has the green light to run wherever he wants. CJ Abrams should be on that tier as well. Now, while he's not as fast as Elly De La Cruz, he's certainly up there. He certainly has the speed, and he has the capabilities to steal bags really with ease. And that's what he did over the last week or two. CJ Abrams is now stealing bases. 7 stolen bases in the last 15 games. You love to see it. Stock down. Left-handed hitter. Someone who's probably going to be traded at this deadline. Corey Dickerson. In his last 46 at-bats, he's got a 196 batting average, a 239 slug, only 3 RBIs, and 10 strikeouts to go with that. Listen, when you are a power bat, a Stone Garrett, a Corey Dickerson, I need you to slug. I need you to get extra base hits, and I need you to drive guys in. You have not done that over your last 46 plate appearances, and we've kind of seen that as his playing time is going to start to diminish when you have guys like Stone Garrett who seem to come in and have really just caught fire over this last few weeks. Corey Dickerson is now not really playing too hot. Let's be honest. As he came back from the IL, he did look a little bit better. You kind of saw why this Nationals team invested into someone like him, and I still do believe he will be traded at the deadline. But you got to step it up, man. We got to trade you for a good prospect. We got to trade you for someone who may be something down the line. And he's certainly not helping the Nationals' case right now to move him at this deadline because he's been ice cold over the last few weeks here. And honestly, we just need to step him up. He needs to step it up immediately. A stock up for Joey Bleepin' Meneses. Where do I start? He had 4 home runs against the Texas Rangers in this 3-game series. He had 2 home runs in one game. He had 1 home run the next game, and then 1 home run on Sunday. Joey Meneses, what a treat. Finally glad to have you back here because Joey Meneses was one of these power bats that the Nationals have been missing this season. Joey Meneses, while his numbers have been relatively pretty good, the slugging has not been there to where it was last year. Joey Meneses only had 2 home runs entering this game. He hasn't hit a home run in, I believe, in over a month, maybe even longer. And now he hits 4 against a very good Texas Rangers pitching staff. And all of a sudden, his stats are looking pretty good. Over the last 7 games, he's got a 1203 OPS. He's got 4 home runs, as we said, 7 RBIs, and 3 walks. Joey Meneses is starting to turn that corner, and maybe it's just the fact that it's the second half of the season. Joey Meneses' numbers last year compared to really anyone, Aaron Judge, Mike Trout, Shohei Ohtani, Joey Meneses' batting numbers were up there with them. He's not Mike Trout. He's not any of those guys. But the numbers said he was up there. Maybe he's just a second-half hitter. Maybe he gets hot. Maybe who knows. But Joey Meneses, he's taken a step up recently, and maybe he's found his power stroke once again. Stock down for second baseman Luis Garcia. Over his last 23 at-bats, while his defensive efforts have been really good again, the offense needs to take a step up. And I expected to have some turn of events over this course of the last few games. I thought he could take advantage of some of these pitchers. Hasn't happened. Luis Garcia, in his last 23 at-bats, is batting .207 with a .304 slug. Luis Garcia, while he hasn't been terrific this season, I do think he has taken a nice little jump for this Nationals team. I do believe that he's going to be a good player down the line. It's just got to click, and he's got to stay consistent because he has these pockets of moments of really just shining out there. You see the defensive effort. You see what he has done over in that second base, and you're starting to see that tandem with Abrams and Garcia really gel well up the middle for this Nationals team. But it's got to start turning at the plate. Luis Garcia has got to start getting hits again, putting the ball back in play, which he does very well in an elite way, to be honest. But Luis Garcia, you got to get hits. You got to get on base. You got to start reaching in that back pocket and get some power in the bat. Because this is someone who, while he's not raved about his power, this guy does have extra base hit capabilities. He just hasn't been able to do that over the last month or so. Stock up. The man, the myth, the legend, Alex Call. I love Alex Call. I'll rip off that Band-Aid right now. I love Alex Call. The reason why I love Alex Call is because I do believe every time he goes up there, doesn't matter who it's against, he is one of the hardest outs to get. He's going to foul off a million pitches. He's not going to strike out. He has pretty good plate discipline and plate awareness. So over his last 5 games, since being called up, he's got 2 home runs. He's got 5 RBIs. He's walked 3 times. He has no strikeouts, and he has a 12.24 OPS over these last 5 games. Again, the 2 home runs and the 5 RBIs and the 3 walks compared to 0 strikeouts. Alex Call, earlier this season, did say that he believes he's probably the best second 2-strike hitter in Major League Baseball. Now, while I'm sure you can pull up some numbers and it's probably not him, he certainly is making himself a case for it, as this guy is not striking out. He is a tough out to get. He continues to work the count and do all the right things. It's just a lack of talent, you could say, compared to everyone else that really holds him back. But the spirit and just everything about Alex Call, the way he plays, the way he hustles, and the energy that he has out there, it's really fun to watch. I love Alex Call, and I love the way that he plays for this team. I love the prospect of what he could be. He's kind of your ideal, typical 4th outfielder, someone who's really scrappy out there. So Alex Call, it's going to be tough to take him out of this lineup at this point, but Victor Robles is going to be coming back, and Davey Martinez is going to have a decision to make when it comes to Stone Garrett and Alex Call once again. That's a different topic for a different day. But thank you guys for making Locked On Nationals your first listen. That was your National Stock Report to get you up to date on everything that this Nationals team has done when talking about individual performances. But now, let's reach back into the prospect bag as Brady House and James Wood. Oh my God, what treats are they? And now you add Dylan Crews and YoYo Morales into this fold as well. Oh, what a day. What a day. Now let's talk about the Futures game, as both those James Wood and Brady House, they shined. We're going to talk about that, but before we do that, got to tell you guys about our friend over at Sleeper. And guys, Sleeper is just an amazing feature for this. And you can swing for the fences on Sleeper picks, and you can win up to 100 times your money. Use promo code Locked On, and Sleeper will match your deposit up to $100. You can predict the hottest baseball stats like home runs, hit strikeouts, and much more to cash in on your daily fantasy baseball skills. Use promo code Locked On, and Sleeper will match your first deposit up to $100 yet again. And guys, Sleeper is just so much fun because here's the thing. You're going to want to win up to 100 times your money on daily fantasy baseball, and Sleeper is now offering up to 100 times payout or up to 8 pick contest. Choose as many as 8 players as you like and pick more or less in your favorite baseball stats like home runs, strikeouts, hits, and more. Get your picks right and you could win big. Use promo code Locked On and you'll get up to $100 match on your first deposit. Terms and conditions apply. See Sleeper's terms of use for details. Currently operational in over 30 states. Check out Sleeper today. Now let's get back into talking about this Nationals farm system, as you got Dylan Crews, you got YoYo Morales, you got a 5-tool prospect with James Wood, you got Robert Hassel, you got James Wood. Man, does this farm system look incredible at this moment. But let's highlight 2 of the Nationals' OG studs in this farm system with James Wood and Brady House. The Nationals' first-round pick back in the 2021 draft out of high school is really starting to take shape now, because Brady House was probably the biggest shining star in Saturday's contest when comparing James Wood to Brady House. Brady House came in, first pitch, ropes a single into left field. It was 105 miles off the bat with that exit velo. And Brady House, not only did he have that, Brady House made a terrific defensive third baseman play, kind of falling into the camera well with kind of towing that infield boundaries there and really falling into the camera well there. Brady House, not only did he show out in BP, because that's what a lot of people were talking about. I was listening to the SiriusXM broadcast during that game with Grant Paulson, multiple different people on the sidelines, and everyone was raving about Brady House's batting practice. This guy was hitting balls in the second deck up at T-Mobile Park. That's not really that, like, that doesn't happen. That doesn't happen for 20-year-olds, for 19-year-olds. This guy is just hitting upper decker tanks as a 20-year-old in a big league park. One of the few times that he's probably ever hit in a major league stadium. Brady House is taking it not to the first deck, but to the second deck. And that is what everyone else kept on raving about when it came to Brady House, was one, the plate discipline that showed. And while it's batting practice, I understand. But that is a time to showcase all your talents for the world to see. You're on Peacock, which, by the way, what are we doing Major League Baseball with putting that game on a streaming service? It didn't even work for me. I had to go to some, I allegedly had to go to some different site that I won't say. But what a joke that was. Brady House, though, not a joke. This guy put on a show, and everyone raved about his batting practice and what this guy did. He showed off a lot of different talents with pulling the ball to left. He was splashing the ball in right field and really just hitting all generic parts of T-Mobile Park, and he was hitting the ball out like nobody's business. I believe at one point during his batting practice, he put 4 of 5 balls into the stands at T-Mobile Park. The kid's got pop. He's got a big power bat and a big power stroke. So I think that really showed out in this Futures game. And we don't really get to talk about Brady House a lot because we like to talk about James Wood. James Wood is a top 5 prospect in all of baseball, but he took the shine as well. And while James Wood is also known for his power bats, these guys, these pitchers on the American League side, they had their notes, they saw their notes, and they saw, don't pitch to James Wood. First pitch, 5-pitch walk for James Wood in his second at bat. This was what was most impressive in my mind. In his second at bat, in a 1-2 count, he kind of dinks a ball to the second baseman, a little ground out there, but it's not about that. It's about what he did. Standing at 6'6", 230 pounds, however much he weighs, James Wood ran 30.9 feet per second on one at bat, and again at 6'6". That speed is incredible for someone his size, and that's what a lot of people are talking about. You saw MLB Pipeline put out that tweet and say, this kid at 6'6" just ran down the line at 30.9 feet per second. Per second. He is running that fast. That is probably around a 4.4 40-yard dash. That is how fast James Wood is, and he's 6'6". Just to kind of put that in perspective, a 4.4 speed is someone who Terry McLaurin, from David Harrison, who talks about from Locked On Commanders. That's Terry McLaurin. That's Jahan Dotson. That's that kind of speed that James Wood at 6'6", 220-something pounds, that's what he has. And he's a power hitter. James Wood and Brady House stole the show at the MLB Futures game. And oh my God, that's what people were talking about. The power of Brady House. And oh, not to mention James Wood. They also said James Wood in his batting practice was a show. Hitting the ball out. You saw the clips, I'm sure, by now over on Twitter. A lot of people were putting them out as they should be. These are two guys with legit power bats in this system that the Nationals have, and they're getting closer and closer to joining the Washington Nationals up in the major leagues. So thank you guys for making Locked On Nationals your first listen every day, as we are free and available wherever you get your podcasts. I'll talk to you guys tomorrow, as tonight it's the MLB Home Run Derby. I'll be checking that out. Who's going to win? I'll give my quick little synopsis on who I think will win. It's going to be Julio Rodriguez. Why? Because it's rigged. It's not going to be Pete Alonso. If it's Pete Alonso, I will be so upset. I do not want to see Pete Alonso. Go Nationals. What a 24 hours it has been. And again, don't forget, Dylan Crews is a Washington National.